Hello and good evening to this special edition of Media News podcast. Media News aims to be an authentic voice, bringing you real, truthful stories from the Middle East, with a particular focus on the Kurdish question that is often ignored, self-censored or suppressed by the mainstream media platforms. These days, as we are witnessing on our televisions and social media, the Taliban in Afghanistan have swept through Afghanistan and on the August the 15th walked into the capital of Afghanistan, Kabul, straight to the presidential palace without seemingly any resistance after withdrawal of the US forces a few weeks before. Today, I listened to the news and they have issued a statement claiming that they will be a so-called inclusive political force, calling on people not to leave Afghanistan after the chaotic scenes that we have witnessed over the past few days at the airport, and that women will even be able to work and take part in education, so the Taliban claim. But what is the reality on the ground, and what is the voice of Afghan women? We have heard so many different commentators over the past couple of days. What is the voice of Afghan women? And we're very honored and very pleased to be able to invite Leader Ahmed, who is a member of the Solidarity Party of Afghanistan in Europe tonight, and also from Northeast Syria to offer hope, solidarity, support. The spokeswoman of the Congress Star, Remziah Mohammed, the spokeswoman of Congress Star, Remziah Mohammed. Of course, the Kurdish women, led a revolution against ISIS that everybody knows about, and now are trying to establish a ecological feminist policy in Northeast Syria. So what is the messages from the women, the Kurdish women of Congress Star to the Afghan women tonight? So I would like to welcome both of you, Leader and Remziah, to tonight's podcast. And I would like to ask Leader, please, can you share your thoughts about how you're feeling during these days, the developments in light of the takeover of the Taliban, and what this means for the struggle of Afghan women for freedom and equality? Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mark, and I would like to thank Remziah as well. And unfortunately, in the last days, we see that a heavy tragedy has happened in my country, and Afghanistan surrendered to the Taliban once again, and our people is going and moving toward the brutal and unknown future. And this was very heavy for the Afghan people, and it's a big tragedy, of course, to start it again. But it also showed that the imperialists, US imperialists and other imperialists under the NATO, they occupied and invaded to my country 20 years ago under the name of bringing democracy, women's rights, and human rights. And we now see that all of them was just a lie, and they just come for their own benefit, and they just now go out for their own benefit. And they are not doing anything for the poor Afghan people, for the Afghan women. They just did for themselves. And it was for the revolutionary and democratic movement, it was quite clear that with this government, with the puppet government and the warlords, we cannot have a democratic and women's rights government in Afghanistan. It was quite clear, because we cannot make a democratic government with the warlords, with people such as, I can name that, Atta Mohammed Noor, or Yunus Qanuni, or other Bismillah Khan, or Ismail Khan, or Dostum. They're warlords, they're criminal, and we cannot make a government with them. But unfortunately, the US and other power, they just count on them, and they just want to share power with them. And in the last 20 years, they were in Afghanistan. They loot the people. There was a corrupt country, and all the money who arrive in Afghanistan, they just loot by them, and they did nothing for the people. And in the end, when the Taliban was there, without any resistance, they just escaped from the Afghanistan, and they, of course, they're speaking about the resistance and defending the people, but all was a lie. And it was clear for us that they're not going to resist. If they're fighting, it is just a fight to save their own power. They are not fighting for the Afghan people, because they are also, as I said, they are criminal, and they did and committed huge human rights violation in Afghanistan in the past. So this is happened, but now, of course, Afghan people is faced with a huge problem, and we can see in the media, and I'm speaking with my friends, with my comrades and family in Afghanistan, that people is afraid, people don't know what is going on, but it is very clear, because Taliban, we Afghan people, we have the experience of them, and they didn't change. They didn't change. They are same Taliban, they are same criminals, and a criminal and a fundamentalist groups cannot be changed. We don't have any expectation from them, because a fundamentalist group, it means they are not doing anything for women, they are not doing anything for the people. Taliban also a puppet. They are puppet of US, they are puppet of Pakistan, and also Iranian regime play with them, and they just arrive and took the power. And of course, in these days, they're trying to show their nice face, because they know that how Afghan people hate them. But also they start to do something in some parts of Afghanistan. For example, in Herat province, they ask the students, the female students, to don't come to university. And also in Kandahar, they asked the female employer in a bank in Kandahar, and they said, you don't need to come back to your job, your office. It means that they are going to stop women, and we are going to another dark situation.
Lida, tell us a little bit about the last 20 years and the space that Afghan women have had in Afghanistan. How has that struggle been? I mean, for the last 20 years, presumably Afghan women have had a space to organize. Is that right? And how far? And what are they losing now?
Yeah, as I said, that the US invaded our country, Afghanistan, under one of the slogan was we want to free Afghan women, for bringing women's rights for Afghan people. From the very beginning, some revolutionary organizations like Rawa, Solidarity Party, these groups, they said that it is impossible, because no one can bring rights to other people, other nation. This is the right, this is the responsibility of nation and women to fight for their rights. And we always give the example of other countries, especially we give the example of our sisters and Kobani and Kurd sisters, that they are fighting for their rights. And this is the things they want to free themselves. Another country cannot fight them. Maybe other people can do solidarity, but not fighting for the rights of other people. This was the things we said. But of course, US and other Western countries try to show something in the media that we did something good for the women of Afghanistan. And they always gave the example of Taliban. Under the Taliban time, women cannot go to school and to vote. And now they're going. But okay, but we have this right before the Taliban. This was not something new. At the same time, they try to show some other things, like some women in the presence of women in the parliament, and some other puppet women, a group of US puppet women like Fawzia Kufi, Sima Samar, Abiba Surabi. They are women, but they're thinking like men. They are a part of this imperialist project in Afghanistan, and they they just say everything what the US speak about it. They never say anything about the right of women. They never fight for them. They always with the other fundamentalists. They sit in the parliament, but they always was silent, and they never speak about it because for them was the money, the dollar, the position that US gave to them. It was more important, and they're silent. But also in the end, they want to make some deal with Taliban, because when they went to Doha and Moscow, Fawzia Koofi, Malala Yousafzai, these women, they speak, oh, Taliban has changed. We see the new face of Taliban, but the reality was not like that. But also we have, of course, some revolutionary women and groups that they organize themselves, like we have women such as Malala Yousafzai, and she was a young member of parliament in Afghanistan, and she have always a strong voice in the parliament, and she exposed to the fundamentalists and warlords and always speak about them. And also we have another woman like Bilqis Roshan, and she was also a member of parliament, and she always defends the voice, the right of Afghan people. And she was when the Afghan government want to sign agreement, security agreement with the US, she was a strong voice, and she said, this is not, don't do it, because this is not the benefit of Afghan people. US will not do anything. And when the Afghan government want to release the Taliban prisoners, she also speak, and she said, no, this is they are criminals, you cannot do it. But no one hear their voice. But we know that Afghan women didn't have the right in the last 20 years, but also I can say that the Afghan women who are now, they are not the women like 30 years ago or 25 years ago. They are more aware because they have some opportunities in the last 20 years. They can go to school, they receive education, and they also the work of these revolutionary and strong women like Bilqis Roshan, like Saleh Ghaffar, and Rawa's work, and also Solidarity Party's work. This has changed something, and now we are sure that they are going to expose against Taliban. And we see also the Taliban is, they are a bit not so tough like before and say no, women can go, because they are afraid. They are afraid of uprising. And we are sure that Afghan women can reorganize themselves, and they are going to fight. We know that they listen from the history. They listen that what Rawa said, what Bilqis said, or Solidarity Party said, this is the reality. We see that the other countries do not anything. They come for their interests and they're going back. We are the one to do something for ourselves.
Yes, of course, and so that is incredibly important message to send out, that the Afghan women are will organize and will struggle against this. So, with that in mind, what is your message to women out there, to women of the world, to feminist organizations, to anybody who is listening to this, in terms of showing solidarity with Afghan women?
Yeah, as I said, we don't have any expectation from any government, because we know that they're not doing anything good for us. And also we don't have any expectation even from United Nations, because we see that United Nations is always a witness what is going on. United Nations was present in Afghanistan in the last 20 years, and they just sometimes write a report, a very conservative report, and not anything more. But of course, we are asking our sisters, our brothers all over the world, and the feminists and the progressive groups, that this is what happened in Afghanistan. And this is not the fault of Afghan people, because sometimes people who are in another part, they are thinking that, yeah, because Afghan people is not fighting for themselves, they are not resisting, but they don't know what is going on in Afghanistan, what happened. And it is not maybe their fault, because the media was totally silent about Afghanistan. And just since Sunday they start to again speak because there's Taliban and what happened in airport. They start to speak about Afghanistan, but before that they were silent and they never have interest to speak and to have interview and hear the voice. Sometimes they want to know some successful, so-called successful story. They don't want to know anymore about what is reality here. But yeah, because we want that they hear our voice, they stand with Afghan people, and they support our struggle.
Thank you so much, leader. I would like now to turn and offer the opportunity to the Kurdish women's movement. We have the spokesperson of Congrea Star. Now, Congrea Star was founded from Yekatiya Star, which was a Kurdish women's organization founded in 2005, even before the revolution in Rojava. And now they are a confederation for all women's groups in Rojava and organize its ranks according to the ecological democratic paradigm that believes in women's freedom and seeks to develop a free and democratic Syria and democratic Middle East. So we are joined by the Congrea Star spokesperson, Ramzia Mohammed, from Rojava, and apologies for the sound quality because we have her on a telephone. Aladdin, if you would like to take off your mute and show us. So we would like to ask Ramzia to welcome her first and introduce her to Leader and ask her how she sees the Kurdish women's movement from the view of Northeast Syria, and how does she see the struggle of the Afghan women in Afghanistan?
Yani seri des خیر هاتن آتا دکم تنه دخوازم جی روژاوا وکی جنکا کرد روشا افغان و روشا جن افغان تکوشین آوان هون چاوا دبینن هون چاوا دنرخینن کرم که
تسبيك سلافوريز جبوا وفي برنامجك وحاضر كريه بتايبت سلافوريز مش لنا أحمد ره وكل أفغانستان رجو أفشان صالة إيش زحمتي دكشينة راسي أفشان رجع كل رجوات كل أفغاني كرديشة شبر ما هوفيتيا داعش ديكيه كريارو داگر كريا قدار مشاندن ترورا قرسر قل دان مشاندن إيريشن هوفانه فرزارو كوجن وخاكيد هات مشاندن أو إيش هاتي ديتن جبر وجي دما أو ديماند أكران التلفزيون دا دركتن پر زحمت و پر زورجي هاتن ديتن أو ديمان لي ديمانين بإيش ونجد آليا دما قو رايدارين أفغانستان وصا بالا كرت وقال بتاني هشتن قال جي تاني أمبيجن ريا رافي تاني ديتا ديالي دا ترب إيش و چما جبر قال روجاوا وآني سر زمان تايبت وقتی كونغرسار 2005 هاتی عواقرن جمع دستیارداری رژیم بعث دوان زحمتیه ده خباته کشینا هبو راسی ایریشان دهات راسی گرتنه دهات راسی اشکنجه دهات اگر دچالاکیه ده به اگر زندانی ده ده رومی ویجی حتی آستکی برخودانی و کشین جبونا رخصن بونا جن دوام کر ده دستبیکا شورشی رژی جنين كرد بتايبت افرو ريستن و هم رخصتن بونا خو خورت بكن هم جي خباتي خو بكن ميناك كشبو دسبيكا شورشي شبوكو قال الهريم بالتمامي بريخصتن بده كارب الهمبري حم ايشا بسكنه جبو ناويجي أمبريشن بلكي 20 سال شركي لأفغاني برابر بری طالبان هات مشاندن هر گل ده بيجن ده تركيا إيريشي بو وكي برزيلا غاني سياسمانشي كسن سر حكومتي كسن بو همجي تجاري دمي شرا شكونا برجواندي خوي شخصي ديگرن شكونا برجواندي خوي بيجن بارتيبون ديگرن لقل تشوف سريع بي لنا برسه جبونا ويجي أذيا هم إيشك هم جي زحمتي مرة دبينة راستي جي قالي روجاواج بربر خداني كاتي مشاندن تكوشينة كي مزن هاتي مشاندن لقلك باجارة دجارة شر ليبوية وكي سريكانية وكي أمبيجن هرمي روجاوا وباكر رجلاتي سوري بخداني كي برمزن هناك مالبات شهيدة قددو سيجي دانا هناك مالبات بتنا خواه الهمبري داعش شركرنا جنو زاروكي خوال برانبري داعش لهناك جيا شركرنا اجبونا ويجي تاني ريامي برخداني ام دبين البيشيا خواه او كاربهم قال جزور دارية خلاص بكش داقر كدني خلاص بكش هر إيريشين هندور ودرفة دماغ دبن راستي جي دسبيكا شورشي حطانها بتايبت وقالي كرد كسن هزن درفة ودرباسي هرمي بونا يانجي دبيجن ام دستكي ددن ما تشتخب وان بقرينا داية راست بلكي هناك ام بيجن علاقات هنا بلكي هناك هبديت تشدبن هناك حتى أصكي وكي لسر أصلا خباطي القصة دي وانا هناك خباط جتي مشاندن هاي داوي بيوسا جوجل لما قدي الهمدو دكبن رخصلونا قل شي ببن
Ez bikarim ederê wergerînim paşê em berdewam bikin. First, thank you very much for this program and giving me a chance to speak. And I want to say hello to Lida Ahmed. First of all, I want to salute every Afghani people who are suffering under the rule of Taliban. It is really hurting and it is really sad to watch, to see what's happening in Afghanistan at the moment, because we can feel the pain of Afghani people, because we went through the same process when ISIS invaded some part of the region, and we saw how they can damage the land, how they can hurt, how they can be brutal against people. So we experienced that, and we know how brutal they can be from our own experience with ISIS, and how they can attack women and children in the first hand. And it was really sad to see how people of Afghanistan left on their own when the Western powers and especially Afghani government left the country, left people alone on their own to their fate. Because Rojava experienced the same, as you said, in 2005, Congress Kurdish women started to organize themselves to be ready to fight against all these kind of brutal terrorist organizations. And when the revolution started, that's why we were already organized to be able to fight against terrorism and the enemy of the people. Yes, in 20 years fight against Taliban, as we see now, as Lida said as well, the government who came in power in Afghanistan mostly fought for their own interests, not for the people of Afghanistan, not for the women of Afghanistan. And what we learned in Rojava from our own experience, it is the people themselves who can bring freedom, or who can bring democracy, who can gain their own rights. We, as people of Rojava, yes, we are working maybe with different powers in the region now, but we never ever rely on them. We are relying in our own people, in our own power, as we saw in Serekania, in Afrin, in the other regions, how people resisted. Thousands of people lost their life while they were fighting against the enemy. So it was the people's power, it was the people resistance. Yes, there are some talks, there are some other collaboration with other powers who are in the region, but the most important point, it is the power of our people, ourselves, the women, and how they are organized themselves. کاری بردوام بکی آنجی تو بخوازید کاری پرسا خویا نو بکه. Mark, maybe you can ask your next question.
So the next question following on from that is, how do the Kurdish women's movement intend to build solidarity with the Afghan women? And what is their message to the women of Afghanistan today?
Yani hun weki tevgera jinin Kurd peyama ve jbo jinin Afgan çiye îro em dixwazin hinkî wê bibihîzin.
بله دو Taliban buyere bun daqyani kime nefsi de hem bu de eşa gele Afgan dikşinge hem ji bu şiriya taybet senen Afgan u gele Afganistan'e bu ev şahatiye meşadın gerek merev çend yani çend vaki dersa jeder bakine ku te hezben derbe parasına nirxin brovanaken parasına berjewadiye gelanaken adine desthilatdari dema merkezi dibe o dema jbona parasına hem kursiye xwe hem berjewadiye xwe parti bune yan jî yê berjewediyên şexsî Yurda dîsa mafê gel dêwamdan kirin bi taybet dema ku ji bona jin wekî şeklî di berleman û di hikûmetê de diyar kirin li gelek welatên em bêjin navendî yê ku desthilatdariya tekane dê de heyî em bêjin tevahî welatên cîhanê Karani ji bona jin wekî şeklî maf dibin bi taybet dewletên navnetewî ku bi navê demokrasiyê û rengê ma axaftinên mafê mirova û demokrasiyê van dikin lê di gorê de ortê de kuştinê jinan çêdibin ortê de mafê jinan tê bidêkirin dûr de gerek em wekî gelên hemberî dijmin te koşînê dike yan jî gelên bindest wê bizanibin ku tenê ew karin mafê xwe parastinê bi dest bixînin ew karin hêza xwe parastinê bidin avakirin tawa me li bir wekî Rojava di serhildanê û birêxistinbûnê hêza xwe xurt kir حتى ما قريبو ام شر تسليم جيشي برابري ريش وتكليك هاري جران ام بسكنن قالي افغانجي بيها برسمي ناس يقول اوي قاربن جارك دن حكومي سرهف بكن جارك دن هزا حكومي سرهف بكن بوي هزي توا پارتیا جنابو منشي پارتیا شكري يا جلان قريبو تكوشينا كي بك حتى آسا كي ملزن جارك دن تلقى قل بلكي خباتك كي مزن جرت بلكي تكوشينا كوهيزك مزن جرت لي خصن بو مرة هم يعني زيفتي هيزكي خود نبينا وقاربن جاركدن تبقر خوي جنا بتايدت هيزا خوي قل بدن آواكرن والهندري في حركة طالبان كلها ديت بيز حكومتكي ديمقراطيك يانجي من طرز فقبرتي بردنكي ببرد آوا بكر باوري ببان هزاناي كرن باوري ببان دستلاتداري وداگرکریه نايكرن جبونا ويجي حتى آسكي نزن بطايبة الروج آوا وباكور رجلات سوري إرادة قلب سركتية انهاجي تيهان حمى مجبورة وقبول بك بلكي جمرجهين تخصن وأبتكوشينا كي مستر بكن بطايبة جبونا جني أفغان جبونا قلي أفغان بلوكي كونغرستار جبونا بشكرية حاصرة جدا من اگر دمره پروردهیه اگر دمره بشگریه دیدانین و اگر وردر خصنبون پیوسته پاراسنا خسر پیوسته آوا کرنا هیچه که خسر پیوسته
یلک سپاس
جبال ماوی جبال بشگریه و جبونا دسترداینی و جبونا هر بشتیجی دید بشت
یلک سپاس. As Congress Star, yesterday actually we made a statement as a Kurdish woman movement related to what's happening in Afghanistan, and in our statement we stated and we declared our full solidarity with Afghani women and Afghani people. People should take lessons from their past. That was the same for us, and that is the same for people of all other oppressed nations. That we need to know that no one from outside or none of international powers can come and free you or give you your right or bring democracy to your country. It is, and when the power also for it is the same for the governments. When the power taken from the people and when the power is centralized, still this power will not be used for people. It will be used for their own interests, as Lida Ahmed stated. What the other government in these 20 years, their corruption and what they did for themselves, not for the people. They were not there for the people, they were there for themselves, and it was again the people who suffered the most. And world just and international powers just watch the situation, because they were okay while they were talking about right of the people or right of the woman, but in practice the reality was totally different. So as we as people must know and believe that we are the only power who can protect their land and their rights. We as people of Rojava, we organized ourselves. That's how we were successful in some way to fight against our enemies. I believe Afghani people and Afghani women will do the same, will organize themselves and will fight their enemies. And we people of Rojava, we will always be in full solidarity of people of Afghanistan. Yes, we know sometimes it takes time, it takes long, but people should believe and trust in their own power, because we are the power, and people should never ever trust or believe these organizations like Taliban, who says we are changed, because they will never change. That's why we have no option apart from fighting against these dark faces, and we will be in solidarity always in any ways.
Thank you.
Lida, would you like to conclude for us and give us your thoughts about how the future is looking, and how the people of Afghanistan and the women of Afghanistan face this future?
Yes, thank you. First, I would like to thank you, my comrades, my friend Ramzia, and her very nice and strong solidarity and strong message, and what she shared with us, and also not only from her and also from Rojava and our court friends. And thank you very much. And we always proud of you. We always proud of your revolution and what you happened. We always give you as example for Afghan people, for Afghan women. When we are in the past years, when you're fighting, we always celebrate your victories. And when you are fighting, we also raise our solidarity with you. And we were in Afghanistan, we were in the streets and raise our voice for Kobani, for Afrin. And it was also a kind of solidarity in our responsibility to do. And thank you for you to did it today. And yeah, the issue is that all of us say that people around the world, people in Afghanistan and Kurdistan, the only way to free from this situation is their own fight, and they rely on their own power and things, not to other powers. And also, as an Afghan woman and as an Afghan, I can say that this is the most dark days for us. And but we know that it will be not be forever, because always we say in Afghanistan in our language that always after a dark night there is a nice day. And in this dark situation, I and also my friends, my comrades in Afghanistan, they are hopeful, and we are hopeful because, and for this hope we are fighting. And this is the most important things. We are not become disappointed, and we are continue our way. As my friend Ramzia said, that maybe this take long time, maybe it is difficult, maybe sometimes we are facing with problems, or we fed up, but still we never give up, and we are continue.
Lida, I've been looking online over the last couple of days, and I have seen so many messages, especially from Kurdish people, and especially from Kurdish women. And I found this message that was written to the Afghan people and to Afghan women. And I'd like, on closing this meeting, I would like to read it out to you. It's written by a woman called Hawazin. Let me just find it. Hawazin Aziz. She's a Kurdish women's activist and lawyer, and she said that I could read out this message to you tonight. So this is to you, to all Afghan people, and especially Afghan women, especially from Kurdish women. Message from Kurdish women to the women of Afghanistan. What's happening in Afghanistan is devastating and horrific. As Kurds, perhaps more than any other people, we know the terror that the people of Afghanistan, especially the women and girls, are feeling right now. We are painfully reminded of ISIS attacking Shengal, Rojava, and Bashur in 2014 and taking our Yazidi girls into slavery and forced marriages, as the international community looked the other way and feigned ignorance too. We watched helplessly as our boys were thrown into mass graves, adding to the long list of mass graves that is already the graveyard, which is the artificial state of Iraq. Yet from the horrific violence and wreckage of ISIS, we also saw the rise of the Women's Protection Units, the YPJ, and the People's Protection Units of the YPG. These women stood up and defended each other, often leading the fight even when the men had fallen back. They knew that freedom is never freely given. It is costly and must be taken from the clutches of the oppressors. These women reminded us that change is possible, that the oppressed and the dispossessed and the erased peoples of the world can forge their own liberation ideology and fight fiercely for it, and that women can and must lead the way towards that freedom. The support, logistics, and weapons came, brought from the spilling of their pure young blood and their immeasurable sacrifices they made for all women. Our struggle is not yet over, just as yours has taken a new devastating turn. As Kurdish women, our message to our Afghan sisters is that we stand in loving solidarity with you. And your struggle for freedom from the oppressions of the murderous imperialist capitalist system. We know that solidarity involves action. Instead of simply praying and hoping for the best for you, we will listen to you, witnessing your stories. We will stand beside you as you lead protests in the streets. We will write letters to our senators and MPs. We will raise our voices with you, listening and amplifying the voices of your activists and intellectuals. We will donate to your preferred charities. We will read and share your posts, articles, and tweets. We know of the sacred healing power of women coming together, and so we will reach out to you, communicate with you, network, cook, childmind with you, coordinate, share stories, and cry with you. Your story is not over. This is not the end. It is a setback. But as women, our unconquerable spirits have always risen like the phoenix from the ashes of war. Death, terror, and inhumane violence in the dark hearts of weak men, so in our communities. We are beside you, with you, every step of the way. Your freedom is our freedom. Your oppression is our oppression. Your lives are sacred to us, and every single one of you matters to us. And we will also be there on that wonderful, hoped-for day that you spoke of, Lida, dancing with you with all the bright, vivid colors of our beautiful ancient cultures as we celebrate our collective freedom as women. I can already hear the crescendo of that music. I hope you can hear it too. Lida Ahmed, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and Ramzia Mohammed from Congrès Star. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, and all our solidarity with you.
Thank you.